Hi, my name's Courtney and I'm a vintage clothing enthusiast and also shop owner of Heirloomen Vintage Boutique. I wanted to share with you today some of my top tips for buying vintage clothing online. Shop by measurements, not by size. Small, medium, large means so many different things to so many different people. So it's better to just look at the item description and see what the size is in inches and measure yourself with some measuring tape. If something's a little too big in the waist, you can always get it tailored. This diagram shows you how most vintage sellers go about calculating the measurements for their clothes. Note that the bust, waist, and hip measurement must be doubled if it's taken lying flat. Understand different sellers have different shop policies. A lot of these have to do with returns and shipping. Sometimes people don't accept returns, and this is really because a lot of vintage garments are so delicate and so rare that there can be damage when something is shipping. So even if they do accept returns, sometimes they have to recoup it with a restocking fee because there is a cost and time associated with making any additional repairs or re-steaming it. Make sure you read if a vintage seller is selling clean and repaired clothing. A lot of times vintage sellers will have already dry cleaned, will have already hand washed a garment and made necessary repairs in men's before they sell it. So make sure that you add that into the value of the goods that you're about to purchase, because other times you can buy from a seller that hasn't done any of the repairs or any of the cleaning. Understand condition. Vintage clothing is not going to be perfect, especially the older it is, the harder it is to find something in pristine condition. So know that it has been worn before and it has been stored for many decades, and even if it has been cleaned and repaired, there might be some wear. It's usually always noted in the item description, but just be mindful and read. If there are any flaws, they will be noted usually. Probably my favorite way to shop is on Etsy. Their search function is really good. I can search by my size, I can search by the era I'm looking for. You can also favorite shops and only shop through your favorite stores that have the kind of aesthetic that you're looking for. Google can be a little difficult to navigate if you're searching for authentic vintage clothing. I've noticed most of the vintage clothing keywords come up for reproduction fashion sites, and it's difficult to actually find true vintage on Google just because there are so many ads and so many million-dollar companies have SEO and are able to advertise that way. Checking for authenticity can be difficult because it's hard to know. There's so many ins and outs and variables in vintage clothing. But if you shop with a reputable seller that has a lot of feedback and has a lot of sales, you can be pretty confident to know that they have a good reputation in the community. I would go through and read seller feedback if you're unsure about a website or a seller on eBay, Etsy, and just get a feel and see what others are buying and what they have to say. Understand pricing. There are so many varieties of vintage shops from low budget to high-end couture. You can shop anywhere in the middle too. Know that all the things that go into factoring the price for vintage is how rare it is, the decade, how highly sought after it is, the fabric, the craftsmanship, the designer, and just how long it has taken a seller to repair it, to restore it, clean it. So all of that goes in there. So just keep in mind what you're getting for the price. One thing you should know about shipping, if you're buying out of the country and you're buying something from the United States, know that you're going to have to pay VAT tax and duties and customs based on the value of the item and what the item is. So factor that into the cost when you're, trying to figure out if the piece that you want is in your budget. Thanks for checking out my video. I hope some of my tips helped you, and like and subscribe to my channel, and I will have a new video soon.